Hello friends, in the last session we have already get acquainted with the new syllabus that is prescribed to you from June 2020 onward. So in this syllabus let us begin with actual module prescribed to you, that is module number 1. And in module number 1, as we discussed in the last session, that it contains a two part A and part B. Part A is a communication skill and part B is a reading comprehension skills, reading comprehension unit. So let us begin with module number 1A, that is the interview skills. This in this module 1 we are supposed to learn interview skills. You should note here that I am not the title of this unit is not interview skill. It is not a singular one, but it is a plural one, interview skills. So we are supposed to learn a group of skills that is important to face an interview. Interview is the first step that let you enter into the career. So this step becomes very important to begin a career. So you should be very keen about these things. Understand that when we are discussing these interview skills, we are not only concerned with the communication skills, or we are not only concerned with the linguistic expressions used in interview skills, but we are here to understand everything from personality traits to the different kinds of uh, strategies that are important to win the uh, interview. So in this module number 1, uh, interview skills, we will begin with this part 1. So let us start this unit. So the first point in this particular unit is preparation for interview. So this is very important to prepare ourselves for interview. If we want to achieve a success in interview, we should prepare ourselves well before going to the interview. So let us begin with preparation for interview. What are the important points that we should consider when we were preparing for interview? The first thing, read the interview letter carefully, know the details day, exact day, date, time, venue of the interview. See, there are two types of interviews. One is a walk-in interview. In walk-in interview, you are supposed to go carry a application and your CV on the day of interview. You are not supposed to write an application to the employer well before, but you have to produce it at the time of interview. That is a walk-in interview. And another is an regular advertisement where the applications were invited, and when the applications were invited you will get a interview call letter. And when you get in that kind of situation, this first point, that read the interview letter carefully, know the details exactly, day, date, time and venue, all these things are important one. Many times it happens with us, not only about the interview call letters but about the letters that we receive from offices, that we did not read it carefully, very we take it very casually. So at least interview call letter we should not take it casually. We should be very keen about the understanding of exact day, date, time and venue of the interview. This is a very practical suggestion to you. You may feel that this is not a rocket science and why should we are learning this. See, many times it happens with us that we forget simple things. So we should not forget simple things while preparing for interview. So this is the first suggestion. See the second one, prepare your resume carefully and impressively with all the details of your qualification, achievements, references. So this is also preparing resume is also one of the important thing for preparation for interview. When we understand that the candidate is a product, and the resume is an interview, so it should be impressive one. And when you go for an interview and you distribute your resume to the panelists, they will read it, and their and that resume will give an impression of your personality. So you should be very particular, you should be very conscious about preparing a resume, and in that resume you should put very factual data of your qualification, of your achievement, of the references. So this is the second suggestion about the resume. The third one, if you are instructed to bring the original certificates and other testimonials, arrange them in a proper order. This is also very important. Many of us, as we are completing this graduation course of 3 years, we don't have, many of us don't have a file of document, educational qualification document we don't have. So we have to prepare it before going to the interview. And while arranging the file, we should arrange it chronologically. And what kind of chronology we should follow? See, the latest certificate on the top. So we should not begin with SSC certificate or SSC mark sheet. So we should start with, if you are completing your BSc and going for the interview, the first certificate will be your BSc degree or BA degree. So you can understand that this is the latest certificate on the top and the earliest certificate at the bottom in a decent folder or file. Here the word decent is uh, deliberately inserted, because many times it happens that we go we in a tone file, and that also gives a very bad impression of you to the panelist. Then wear formal clothes for good impression. Clean, well pressed clothes imply that you are taking the interview and also the job seriously. Instead of going shabby, the clothes were not pressed, there are wrinkles on the shirt. So this should not happen with us. That create a very bad impression on the panelist. They think that if the candidate is not taking interview serious, it is not possible for him to take his job serious. So that is a negative impression you may carry when you are using such kind of a cloudy, unclean, uh, wrinkled costume. So your attire is also very important when you are going for the interview. Then avoid gaudy and fashionable clothes. You should be a simple one, simple dress you should, and not a very bright color or not a very dull color you should choose. You should choose a very sober color of your attire. So your attire should be a very professional one, not a fashionable one. So you should avoid the fashion, and you should go for the simplicity. So this is one. Then wear polished shoes with socks. Here with socks is deliberately inserted, because many times we forget to wear a socks, or many times we skip the socks. At least for interview, we should not do that. We should wear a polished shoes with a socks. See, there are only 2 or 3 minutes for the interview panelists or the interviewers to judge your personality. So they will think about everything: what kind of clothes you have wear, what kind of shoes you have, what kind of qualification you have, how you are presenting yourself, what kind of language you are using, what kind of manners and etiquettes you are expressing. All these things matters much while when a interviewer judge you in a 2 or 3 minutes. So everything is important when you are facing an interview. So this is the one. Wear a very formal, simple dress. Then do sufficient homework to face interview questions. That is also very important. Do not take the interview very trivial one. Don't think that I have learned all these things for last 12 years, last 13 years, and why should I again go and review my knowledge. So before going towards going to face interview, you should do sufficient homework to face interview. So this is important one. Then visit the company organizer's website and know about its vision, mission, structure, product, services, growth and finances. Because many times it happens that interviewers may ask you a direct question that whether you have visited the website of the institute or not, and that may be embracing when you say that no, I don't go for the interview. It also suggests that you are not that serious about the job and not serious about the interview. So you should do sufficient homework to face interview, and the questions like whether you have visited the website, whether you know about the vision, mission, structure, products of the company or not. So this kind of things you should keep in your mind. Then collect adequate information about the nature of the job for which you have applied and revisit it by collecting additional information and know the nature of the organization. So this is also very important. What kind of designation, for what post you have applied for, and what is the nature of work, and what are the skills that are required for this job. All these things you should consider and then prepare yourself for the interview. You should rearrange your resume, you should rearrange your answers according to the need, according to the requirement of the job. So you should collect adequate information about the nature of work that you are supposed to discharge, that you are supposed to do in the particular institution or that particular organization you are when you are employed. Then whether a government office or a teaching institute or a private industry or a multinational company or a bank or a LIC office in which you are presenting yourself as a candidate, you should think all these things. You can see here in these two slides, I am not speaking about a language that you are going to use in interview. I am giving you a simple suggestions about facing an interview. And all these are the soft skills: wearing a formal dress, polished shoes, manners and etiquettes, preparing a resume, reading a interview call letter. All these are a simple things, simple suggestions for facing an interview. But all these are, though all these are a simple one, these are very important one to note, because they make a difference afterwards. See, refresh your knowledge of the subject of your specialization at graduation and post graduation. So you should revise what you have learned in your graduation and post graduation classes, because many times the interview planners will start asking you a question about your graduation or post graduation. You also, I will also suggest you that you should go for the syllabus that was prescribed to you in uh, your PG courses or UG courses. So they may ask you a direct question on that also. So it is a quite natural for interviewers to ask a question on the subject of your specialization. So if you say that this is this and this is my specialization, they will start asking you question about your specialization. For example, you are, if you are a person of a history, they will ask you a question of history. If you are a specialized in English, they will ask you a question about your English syllabus. So prepare yourself well regarding the, or revise your knowledge of your specialization at PG and UG level. Then, if possible, give a mock interview in front of your close friends and well-wishers. That is also important. Friends and well-wishers, not the critics, because otherwise you are they will harm your confidence. So the well-wishers and friends will boost your confidence. So this is what is important. You should go for a mock interview in front of your close friends and well-wisher. That will definitely add, boost your confidence. This will boost your confidence and help you understand weaknesses. Both the things you will get, the weaknesses you will get, and at the same time strength what you have, uh, you will get it. So this is the preparation for the interview. The simple hikes, simple suggestions were given here. So you should keep in mind all these things while facing the interview. See, the second point that we are supposed to discuss in this lecture is a facing interview certain winning strategies. What are they? What are the winning strategies of facing an interview? See, first, here also I am not speaking about uh, communication skills. Here also I am not speaking about like linguistic expression, but here again I am giving you certain simple strategies to win the interview. See, the first one: walk in smartly and cheerfully from the entrance to the interview table. Don't forget to ask permission politely before entering. This is also very important thing, how you enter into the interview hall, how you ask a permission. So if you go there and without asking permission you enter into the interview hall and sit without any permission, that also gives a very bad impression of your personality to the interview panels. So you should ask a permission very politely to for entering into the uh, interview room. And for that you may ask, so these are the polite expressions: that may I come in sir, madam. Greet the interviewers confidently: good day sir, good morning sir, good afternoon sir, whatever. So don't forget to seek permission to sit down. And even you should ask a permission to, may I sit here sir. So you should say that. All these are manners and etiquette. Say, see, I told you that there is only a 3 to 4 or 5 minutes for the interviewers, that they will judge you immediately. So if you came in confidently, you ask permission to come in, you ask permission to sit down, you greet, all these gives a very good impression to the panelist. Then second point, maintain a cheerful disposition and a pleasant countenance in order to hold the interviewer's interest throughout the interview. So this should not happen with us. So you go there with very confidently and afterwards you start losing your interest from and questioning and answer. So this should not happen with you. You should maintain your attendance, use attention, and you very cheerfully give the answers of the panelists, and that will hold the interviewers interest in you. So a soft pleasing expression with a smile enhances your personality. This is a smile also suggests your confidence, that you are confident enough to face an interview, you are confident about your knowledge, you are confident about your personality. All this is reflected in your smile. So a soft pleasing expression with a smile enhances your personality. So this is also a very simple strategy to win the interview. See, the third one: display enthusiasm, self confidence in whether you say. Self confidence generates a self esteem and self respect. So when you prepare yourself well, you prepare your CV well, you are well in your knowledge, you are well in your expression, then you becomes a confident about yourself. And when you become a confident about yourself, it generates a self esteem and self respect, and it should be expressed, it should be demonstrated at the time of interview. That is also very important to win the interview. So this is again another striking point to win, striking strategy to win the interview or the face the interview. See, be well mannered. So here I have pasted one picture where you can see that: be thoughtful, be cheerful, be helpful, don't be busy, don't put people down or say rude things, then take care of personal property, respect others' privacy, be cooperative, be generous. So all these things you can see are the manners, uh, and we should follow them not only at the time of interview, but we should adapt it in our day-to-day life also. So be well mannered, Your demeanor reflects your values and your culture. So whatever, how you see it, how you speak with others, what kind of respect you give to them, how you keep their privacy, all these things suggest, reflect your values and your culture. And that is also the point of interest of the interviewers to know about. So be humble and polite throughout the interview. Even after interview and before interview and while interview, you should be a polite and humble one, because you are a candidate there. You are supposed to demand a job, a post from them. So you should be humble and polite throughout the interview. Your sound, your pitch should be a polite one. So this is, so you should such expressions like yes please, I beg your pardon, thank you sir, I wish to state, I would like to draw your kind attention to. So see, these are the very polite expressions that you should use when you are facing an interview, and that will suggest, that will give uh, impression that man is very cultured one and we should employ him. So this is again a winning strategy. So we should be a very polite one when using all these things. Then maintain a moderate eye contact with members while they ask questions. So instead of looking back, looking down, instead of looking at your file, or looking to the ceiling, looking to the fan that is moving on your head, instead of doing all these things, you should concentrate on the interview, and you should maintain a moderate. Here the moderate is very important. You are not staring into the eyes of the question, the member who is asking you a question. It may suggest that yes, why you are asking me a question. So this should not happen with us. We should maintain a moderate eye contact with the person who is asking you a question. That also suggests that you are attentive to the person. Then listen carefully at the time of interview. This is also very important. Instead of, many times we get confused about many things. We see that there are several people sitting around and they are asking you a question from different corners, and that may be a confusing one. So when you are listening to a one person, listen him only carefully. So listen carefully at the time of interview. You must primarily focus on providing effective answers to interview questions. This is what, only when you listen it, then only you are supposed to answer the questions properly. Don't make yourself fast to giving answers. Listen it carefully first and then give the answer. So this is what is important one. Then modulate your voice so that your reply will be audible to every member of the interview panel. So your voice should be audible. It should not be a very low that they uh, try to listen you. So it should be a, they should very easily listen you. So you should be an audible to them. And your pitch, your sound should not be raised in a such a volume that they will see that what these people, why this man is shouting so loudly. So your pitch, your voice should be a modulated one. So answer the question precisely and briefly. So the panelists were not there to listen your lecture. They are only expecting from you the answers of their questions. So answer the questions precisely instead of giving a lengthy examples or giving multiple examples. You should avoid all these things, and very precisely you should put your answer in front of them. So reveal team spirit, cooperation, organization skill, strength of character, and above all, a strong decision making ability. All these things you can see are the very important thing to work in any job. Even as a teacher, even as a person in a corporate, all these things are very important. Many times you see that organizations were structured in a such a way that there the teamwork is more important than the individual responsibility. So teamwork, team spirit, cooperation to the other colleagues, uh, organization skills, how you organize the resources and put the efforts to channelize the matters, all these things are important in every kind of job. So, and again, a strong decision making ability. So you should be able to make the decision. So it is not only the following the decisions of the authorities, but it is also the decision to follow the authorities. Decision making ability is also very important in any every kind of job. Then be alert and energetic throughout the interview. So you should be energetic at the first minute of the interview and the last minute of the interview. That is also very important one. You should not lose your energy. Then show loyalty to your previous organization, though you may have left it due to unsavor circumstances. Instead of being a critical or giving a critical comments on the previous employer, don't do that. Show your loyalty to him, and just say that for the better future I am shifting the job. This is what expected from you, not the criticism on the previous employee. So then see the seek clarification to question you do not understand. If it happens that you don't understand the question, then you should ask the clarification instead of pushing your answer without understanding the question. Don't do that. You should ask the clarification for the question, what exactly the question is, and then try to answer it. And if you don't know the answer, admit it that you don't know the answer instead of giving certain different or speaking something different. You should admit that I don't know the answer. That also shows your honesty. Then report at the venue of the interview at least half an hour before the scheduled time of interview. It shows your punctuality. Punctuality is also very important, especially in the job concerns. So you should show your punctuality by presenting yourself by uh, going to the venue on time. Then be polite to everyone you meet before and after interview. That is also very important. So that also shows your uh, personality, what kind of person you are, and whether you are really eligible for the job or not. So this is what you can see the two sub points we learn in this in this online lecture. The first, that the general preparation of a CV, reading of a interview call letter, preparing or about the dress, about the shoes, we learn. And in the second, we learn certain winning strategies, how to enter into the interview panel, how to keep a moderate eye contact with the interview panelists, how to sit, how to ask permissions. We learn all these things in a uh, second part of this lecture. So we will stop here and continue the same in the next session. So see, all these are what we have learned in this session are not regarding the grammar. All these things are not regarding the communication immediately, but all these things are very important soft skills that we should follow when we were facing the interview. So we will stop here, continue the same in the next session, that is a part 2 of the module number 1, and we will continue with the same. Thank you for listening.